Micki Gamez joins us in the studio as pro-Palestinian protesters disrupted Seattle's tree lighting celebration. Micki, I want to hear the message on this because I tried to, out of love and concern for you and your lovely partner and for Ursula Reutin, who I'm quite fond of, I saw the headline and then I go, my first thought about this is I hope they're okay. I hope they didn't go up to Ursula Reutin and Micki Gamez. And then my second thought was, Micki Gamez could throw hands if someone...
Yeah, seriously. I thought the same thing.
So I go, Micki Gamez is fine. I'm sure if Ursula's there too, I'm sure they could both just throw hands and deal with it. But so you're there. You were invited to do the tree lighting. It's a big deal. There are kids there. Your kids are there.
Yeah. Your
partner is there. Ursula Reutin is there. And then all of a sudden, these pro-Palestinian protesters show up, and they kind of just light it up. Do we have a little bit of what that sounded like, Laura Scott?
Intifada! Intifada! Free, free Palestine! Free Palestine! Stop killing children now!
I cringe so hard. I'm like, can we just have like a Christmas? It's nice for people. Can we maybe leave the politics out of it for 30 seconds?
Well, it's weird. I fully respect.
Well, before we get to that, before we get to that, Micki, you're on the ground.
Yeah.
Break it down for us. What happened?
So we were in the VIP area inside the mall, and Ursula and I were having a really good time with my wife and kids. We were taking pictures with Santa. We were speaking to Seattle's finest, and I introduced my children to the police officers that were there, had them shake hands and whatnot. Thank you for your service. And then it was time to walk out, and we knew that a protest was coming. We didn't know exactly what was going to be happening because they said, hey, there might be a disruption. Let's go ahead and start this early.
The police were aware that there was a protest planned?
I believe so, yes,
Okay,
because
okay.
that's what they told us. And then security said, hey, the mayor's going to come. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. And if we can do this 15 minutes earlier before the protest gets here, great. So we go outside. We're in the little area by the stage, and we hear the protest coming from both sides. They're coming from the left. They're coming from the right. And so they meet in the middle. And so we are already in the VIP area right behind the stage that was taken over. And so I looked at my family. They were about 10 feet away from me, and I said, come closer just in case we need to exit.
Just in case Micki's got to throw hands.
Right.
Because once I start throwing hands, you don't know who's going to get hit.
Oh, my goodness, Jack.
So Heather's report said that the stage was taken over by 8 to 10 protesters?
It was, yes, it was taken over.
How many protesters in total ascended on Westlake?
I believe 200. There were around 200 from what I could tell. And at that point... we were just standing there, and in my mind, I'm going, okay, exit strategy. We've got to get out of here because this is not going to happen. And so at that point, as soon as I said that, they started jumping over the fence, or the gate, I should say, where we were in the VIP area. And my daughter, the look on my daughter's face, and I'm like, I've got to get my kids out of here. So they ended up knocking down that barricade, that fence, and they dumped over the table, which had all of the, it was like, these tubs with ice and drinks, and they dumped all that over. They, at that point, ice, right.
Okay.
So then they run to the stage, and I'm like, let's go. As we were turning, one of the guys on the stage picked up the fire extinguisher and threw it at my family. And it missed them, because my wife jumped over the fire extinguisher and pushed my children out of the way.
Oh, my gosh.
And so at that point, I went, this is taking a different turn. Yeah. Go into, at that point, the crowd was rushing the VIP area. And I said, run into Sephora. I'm going to go ahead and go this way. Go. And so my wife had my kids' hands and toes, and they ran into Sephora. And then at that point, I'm trying to break people up from fighting, because there were people that were there in the audience that were there for the tree lighting.
Didn't want it to be taken over, right?
And didn't want it to be taken over. But at that point, I just said, please stop. This isn't doing any good. Like, no, we're mad. We're upset. Okay, I get that, but let's not agitate. And take it to another level.
And I don't even want to call them protesters at this point. I was going to say, with all due respect to the cause and pro-Palestine and stop killing children, of course, everyone supports that point of view. They destroyed the Christmas village. They assaulted people. They threw a fire extinguisher. I can't believe they threw a fire extinguisher at your family.
I don't know, and
Well,
maybe to
they-
that person's defense, but they just
they
turned
picked up and
around
threw it.
and they threw it, and my wife and kids were standing right there as we were trying. Like it just happened so fast.
Yeah.
We didn't have a minute to really think about, okay, which direction, but I immediately said, Sephora, now, go.
Do you guys? The reason I don't call this like I don't really want to refer to them as protesters. Do you know what intifada means? The actual.
No.
So intifada, the literal translation means to shake off, right? It means to. But the what is it? The philosophic meaning of it is immediate resistance. So when you say that, what you're saying is that I am engaging in revolutionary or resistance action. Right, it's basically like a war cry.
Right,
Remember
right.
Xena Warrior Princess when she
Sure.
would trill? Remember that? What noise did she make? You remember that? You guys remember that? Xena Warrior
I
Princess?
can't
Yes.
reproduce it, but yeah.
Okay, I want somebody to reproduce it. We won't move on until Laura reproduces it. It doesn't matter.
You think I played video games ever?
Whoa. Xena Warrior
cartoon.
Princess was daytime television
Yeah.
that came after Hercules. This must-see TV back
Is
in
it
the
on
90s.
cable? We didn't
Lucy
have cable
Law.
growing
Never,
up. I was a PBS
never speak
kid.
to me again.
Jeez.
It's basically like that, where as soon as you say that, what you're saying is that I am engaging currently in revolutionary action.
it's
And
on.
There's,
It is on.
There's a demarcation between free Palestine and let's get down to it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's basically what. But Micki, I'm so happy that you're safe. That was my primary concern.
Yeah,
And
this went on for about an hour, and
Wow.
what was there was a moment where the woman on the bullhorn was chanting who wants to be at a tree lighting ceremony, and right when she said that, the audience erupted and said, "We do."
Yeah.
I mean, they were really, and we weren't the only families that were shaken. As we were walking into the parking structure an hour later, after all of this had happened, there were families that were getting their I guess we call it water cooler talk, right?
Yeah.
But they were there, verifying or validating their parking.
Yeah.
And just parents apologizing to their kids. We're so sorry.
Yeah.
We know you wanted to see
Wow.
Santa, like things like that. And then I just kept my head down. And on the ride home, my daughter visibly shaken, like she's just going, "What happened?" And then my son, he goes, "Where is Palestine and why is this happening?" And I'm like, "Buddy, we talked about this." He's like, "No, I need to know more. I need to know why, their world is burning down in their minds."
So just really quickly, some people might be saying, well, what motivates a bunch of losers to go to a Christmas tree lighting where there's a bunch of kids and disrupt it? In Rules for Radicals, it was written by Saul Alinsky. If you read that book, a very short book, but the idea was to go and disrupt it and to get arrested and have violence perpetrated against them, so that people become more sympathetic to their cause.
Right.
That's
Right.
That's why you go. That's why you harass kids. That's why you get in fights. It's so that you get arrested and you get hurt, so that people sympathize with you.
Do you, Micki, as someone who witnessed this and experienced this, do you think there was a failure by the Seattle Police Department to preemptively be ready for this? They knew it was coming. They warned you, let's get this going early because there's a protest coming. And if literally hundreds of people come from multiple directions and are allowed to just take over the day, I mean, they surrendered the event to this unruly, destructive mob of people who came in and destroyed us. There was a Starbucks that was up on Capitol Hill, but they took down the Christmas display at the event. There was no tree lighting ceremony. They just flipped a switch in the middle of all this chaos. Was it a failure in your mind? As I'm trying, don't put your news hat off for a minute. And as a family member, as a parent, how do you feel about how the police department handled this knowing this coming event?
What I can tell you is that I didn't see the police out there. They were inside where we were.
To protect property, I'm sure.
And I'm not the chief of police, so I don't understand what or why. What I can tell you is that I am glad that it could have gotten way worse than it did. And if they were there to diffuse that, then thank goodness.
Okay.
I hope that next year, when I'm invited back to officially, flip the switch
yeah.
and be there. I'm going to be there with my family and celebrate again.
Based.
And I'm hoping that the Seattle police will then say, you can't come in without a ticket, or, here are the rules.